Hey, BookTube Sean here, and today I want to do a TBR video. Hang on, there's a hair on my camera. Okay, sorry about that. That would have bothered me the entire time I was filming. But Kendra Winchester, over on her channel, is hosting a readathon based on her yearly reading challenge. Now, if you don't know Kendra Winchester, and I'll link her channel and her announcement video below, she is one half of the Reading Women podcast. And the Reading Women have a challenge, a yearly reading challenge, to read books either written by or about women. So there are 24 prompts to the challenge, and I actually just learned about this challenge the other day. Has these because what she's doing is she's hosting a readathon for the month of June. It was suggested to her to do by Doris at Aldi Books, and she liked the idea, so she's going for it. It's a month-long readathon in June, and you guys know I'm horrible at readathons. I think mostly I like making the TBRs because I think it's fun to take the prompts and figure out what book I would read for them. I think I like making the TBRs more than actually participating in the readathons. I think that's what the deal is. But I like the challenge, so I kind of want to add the challenge to my already doing the Book Riot Read Harder challenge. And I'm not putting either this challenge or the Book Riot Read Harder. I'm not really putting pressure on myself to finish it. It's more like prompts to help me pick stuff to read, I think. I don't know. But I like this challenge because a lot of you know that I've been searching for female horror authors. So I'm very much in favor of promoting literature by women authors. So I have taken the 24 plus the 2 bonus prompts, and instead of doing books by women or about women, I have filled it entirely with women authors. So this video is going to be my TBR for the reading challenge, and then I'll discuss a little bit what I might pick up for the month of June, because what I keep veering away from this, what the readathon is for is to help people who are doing the reading challenge, initially to help people who are doing the reading challenge to fill some of their prompts and get, because June is the halfway point of the year, to get to the halfway point in the challenge, to get to the 12 books point in the challenge, or 13 if you're doing the 2 bonus prompts. Since I just learned about it, I doubt I will get up to the 12 by the end of June, but I was able to do some crossover with my Book Riot Read Harder challenge. So this is going to be a fair amount of me looking over here at my computer screen because I have my spreadsheet up, because I do everything on spreadsheets, because that's what I do day in, day out, is spreadsheets. So I'm going to go through the prompts and tell you what I've decided currently to read for each prompt. And there's a Goodreads group to help out. One of them I had a real hard time with, so I'm not veering from that one. If I get to that one, I'm not veering from it. That's the book I'm reading because I had a hard time figuring this one out. But the first challenge is a book by a woman in translation, bonus if it's a woman translator. And for that, I'm going to read, or I may read, but I've picked The Vegetarian by Han Kang, translated by Deborah Smith. I actually did start reading this, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago, and I was enjoying it. I just, who knows, moved on to other things. I do it. I start a lot of things and finish a few. But I've been interested in that book for a while, so that was a good way to finally get me, hopefully, to read that. The second one is a fantasy novel by a woman of color, and for that I have picked Sorcerer to the Crown by Zen Cho. I don't know a lot about what this book is about. I got this when I was doing Bookcase Club, so it wasn't even like I picked the book. It was just the the book that was sent for that month of Bookcase Club, but I've heard really good things about it. So this gives me an excuse to finally pick it up. I actually almost put this when I was doing my one Readathon to Rule Them All challenge, or TBR. I almost put this as for the book by a person of color prompt for that. But I didn't. And I didn't read anything for that Readathon either. So that's a whole other thing. But that's Sorcerer of the Crown by Zen Cho. A book set in the American South. And I thought this would be a great chance to finally read Kindred by Octavia Butler, because I also have that on my Book Riot Read Harder challenge. So I was able to cross that one over. And that is about a woman who kind of ends up time traveling back to a southern plantation during the time of slavery. So it's an African American woman who gets pulled. I think they buy a new house, and then she gets pulled back in time to that property during slavery. But it's one of Octavia Butler's most acclaimed books, and I've wanted to read it for a while, and I even put it on my 2018 Read Harder challenge. So I figured this would be a good chance to kind of cross the challenges. A short story collection, and for that, I'm going to finally finish Everything That's Underneath by Kristi DeMeester, which I was supposed to have buddy read with Vicky at chapter 32, and she finished it, and I was just extremely busy at the time and never got much farther than page 50. So again, Vicky, I'm sorry about that. But I think it's a good opportunity to finally finish this up. And then I will have read both the Kristi DeMeester books I own or that are published. The next prompt is a graphic novel or memoir. For that, I'm going to do The Best We Could Do by Thi Bui. And this is about a family, a refugee family trying to get out of their war-torn area. I forget which area it is. But I'm actually using this for 4 of the 26 prompts. I'm using this for a graphic novel or memoir, and this is actually a graphic memoir. I am using it for prompt 16, a book where the characters are traveling somewhere. I am using it for prompt 19, a book from the Reading Woman Award 2017 shortlist. The Reading Women also do an award every year for both fiction and nonfiction. And this was on the 2017 shortlist for their nonfiction award, so it fits for that prompt. And I thought there was one more. Yes, book prompt number 8, a book with a viewpoint character who is an immigrant or a refugee. I gotta stop bulk filming because by the time I'm on my 4th or 5th video, I can't talk for shit. So, yeah, those are the 4 prompts I'm using The Best We Could Do for. And no, I didn't skip one. The 6th prompt is a book published by an independent press, and again, I am using Everything That's Underneath for that because it's published by Apex Publications, who's an independent publisher. Independent in this sense, meaning not an imprint of one of the bigger publishing houses like Penguin or Simon & Schuster or Random House. They have several smaller, those publishing companies have several smaller imprints, but they're still part of that larger publishing company. And this is definitely an independent publisher. So the next one is prompt 7, a book set in Russia or by a Russian author. And I had to do some searching on that. And the book I found was The Chosen Maiden by Eva. Sorry, I'm loading it up on Amazon because, as always, I just decided I wanted to read the description for you and I hadn't pulled it up. By Eva Stochniak. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Olive, I don't know if you watch my videos or not, but if you do, maybe you can let me know if I pronounced that right. But the description is, from their earliest days, the Nijinsky siblings appeared destined for the stage. Bronya is a gifted young ballerina, but she is quickly eclipsed by her brother Vlaslav. Deemed a prodigy, Vlaslav Nijinsky will grow into the greatest and most provocative dancer of his time. To prove herself her brother's equal in the rigid world of ballet, Bronya will need to be more than extraordinary, defying society's expectations of what a female dancer can and should be. The real-life muse behind one of the most spectacular roles in dance, The Rites of Springs, chosen maiden, Bronya rises to the heights of modern ballet through grit, resilience, and fervor. But when the First World War erupts and rebellion sparks in Russia, Bronya, caught between old and new, traditional and groundbreaking, safe and passionate, must begin her own search for what it means to be modern. And it also says that the lush, sweeping story of a remarkable dancer who charts her own course through the tumultuous years of early 20th century Europe, beautifully blending fiction with fact, The Chosen Maiden plunges readers into an artistic world upended by modernity. I can't talk, I'm sorry, guys. Immersing them in the experiences of the era's giants, from Anna Pavlova to Serge Diaghilev to Coco Chanel and Pablo Picasso. So, yeah, that sounded really interesting. So I was glad I stumbled across that in the Goodreads reading, in the Goodreads group under that prompt, for suggestions for that prompt. That sounds like something I'll really enjoy. Prompt 8 I talked about. That's viewpoint with a character who is an immigrant or refugee. That's the best we could do. A book by an Australian. Prompt 9, a book by an Australian or Canadian author. I think this is a perfect chance to finally read The Dry by Jane Harper, which I've actually really been craving that book lately. Like, I've been really feeling drawn to that one lately. So that one's probably going to happen pretty soon. An essay collection. I'm able to cross over this one with the Read Harder Challenge essay collection prompt. So that's going to be The Partly Cloudy Patriot by Sarah Vall, which I've already started reading. I read the first, at the time of recording this, I read the first essay in that last night. Prompt 11, a book about someone with a chronic illness. And I had to do some searching on this one, and I found suggested a book I already own and actually have already read part of. I just never got back to it. It's called The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating by Elizabeth Tova Bailey, and this is about a woman who ends up with a chronic condition that leaves her bedridden. And somebody, I forget who, gives her this snail in a glass jar, and she enjoys watching this snail so much that she ends up, learning all about snails and researching them, and it really brings her helps bring her out of the depression that the illness is causing. And like I said, I started reading it one night just to try, like, I had bought it on a Kindle deal, and I just wanted to see what it was about, and I started reading it, and I sat and read it for an hour and a half at least that night. I really got into it, but then I never got back to it. So this would be a great chance to get back to that. Book 12, I gotta stop bulk recording. Prompt 12, a true crime book, especially bulk recording on days I've worked too. So anyway, prompt 12, a true crime book. I've actually already completed this one. I've actually read two true crime books this year, but the one I marked in for the prompt is I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara, and you've already heard me rave about that book, and you've probably heard most of BookTube raving about that book, and if you're not on your library's hold list for it, get on it. Prompt 13, a book by an African-American woman about civil rights. And for that, I picked The New Jim Crow. And I went away from it. There is a subtitle to that, and I want to make sure I get that in. But it is by Michelle Alexander. The New Jim Crow: Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. I've heard some good things about this book. I forget who from. I want to say Sarai, but I'm not sure. Sarai, if you see this, let me know if I'm right and it's you. I heard this. If it's you, I heard about this book from. Anyway, prompt 14, a classic novel written by a woman. Bonus if it's not Austen or Bronte. And this, to me, is a great opportunity to read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I should also say that I was able to pick mostly books that I already owned. And I already own this on Kindle. And this one might happen soon too, because I've been feeling kind of drawn to this one lately too. So that is going to be for prompt 14, a classic novel. Prompt 15, a poetry collection. And for that, I'm going to do The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. I read her, I think it's called Milk and Honey, last year, and I enjoyed that. So I've heard some mixed things about The Sun and Her Flowers, but I still want to check it out. I'm not that into poetry, like I don't know a lot about poetry, but I did enjoy Milk and Honey. So I figured the best thing to do is go to somebody I already know and I'm familiar with on that. Books, prompt 16 I talked about, a book where the characters are traveling somewhere. That's going to be The Best We Can Do by Thea Bui. 17, a book with a food item in the title. And for this, I'm going to do the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows. Several people that I'm friends with on here, Robin at the Driftless Reader, Katie at Light Between Words, just several people that I've talked to really enjoyed this book. And I have a copy of it on my Kindle, and it should be a pretty quick read. It's told in letter format, but I kind of want to check it out because I've started hearing so many good things about it. I started becoming interested in it. 18, a book written by a female Nobel Prize winner. For that, I'm going to do Beloved by Toni Morrison. That's one I've been wanting to get to. Prompt 19, a book from the Reading Woman 2017 shortlist. That's The Best We Could Do. I already talked about that. 20, a memoir by someone who lives in a country different from yours. And for this, I'm going to read I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai. I doubt I pronounced that right. But that is about a girl who, when she was 13, I think, she was stood up for education, and the Taliban shot her in the head, but she survived, and this is her memoir. A book inspired by a fairy tale. For that, I am going to read Boy Snow Bird by Helen Oyeyemi, and this is a Snow White retelling set in Manhattan, in Massachusetts in 1953. 22, this is the one I had trouble with. A book by a local author or recommended by your local bookstore. Those of you who've been watching me for a while know that I'm from the Metro Detroit area of Michigan. So I had to do some searching and find, I just went with Michigan. I went with Michigan as local. And I came across Bonnie Jo Campbell. And so I'm going to read her story collection, which was actually nominated for the National Book Award the year it came out, called American Salvage. And she is from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and currently lives there, which is about 2.5 hours west of where I'm at. 23, the book that has been on your TBR the longest. So for this, I went to my Goodreads, and I sorted by date, ascending, and I just went down until I found the first one written by a female author. And that was Geek Love by Catherine Dunn. So that'll be the book that has been on my TBR the longest. 24, a book in a genre you have never read. And again, for this, I am going to cross this with the Read Harder Challenge. And the Read Harder Challenge prompt is to read a romance novel by or about a person of color. Yeah, by or about a person of color. And that is going to be An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. And I don't read romance novels, so I can't think of a romance novel I've ever read. So that is what I'm using for that. So that's the 24 main prompts. There are 2 bonus prompts. One is a book by Virginia Woolf, who is Kendra's favorite author. And the second prompt, or the second bonus prompt, is a book by Flannery O'Connor, who is the other host of the Reading Women. That's her favorite author. So Kendra is actually hosting a month-long readathon of Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf for this readathon. And she said in her video, which I'll have linked below, it's going to be like 50 pages a week to get through the book. I can handle 50 pages a week, so I'm going to go ahead and try and participate in the read-along and do Mrs. Dalloway for that prompt. And a book by Flannery O'Connor, Book Riot Podcasts, you've heard me mention this in my Week in Books, recently did an interview with Kristi, the horror author, Kristi DeMeester. Okay, I'm cutting into this video really quick because I just made an embarrassing mistake. I said the Book Riot podcast interview with Kristi DeMeester, and it's definitely not Book Riot. It is Books in the Freezer podcast with Kristi DeMeester. Sorry about that, Stephanie and Rachel. I apparently was saying Book Riot far too often, and it was the 4th video I was recording in a row. So, again, apologies. Books in the Freezer podcast interview with Kristi DeMeester, linked below. On with the video, which I will link that interview in the description. And in that interview, Kristi DeMeester recommended A Good Man is Hard to Find in Other Stories by Flannery O'Connor. So that's what I picked for that. So that is what I picked for the prompts. Now for the readathon, what I'm going to try to do is just pick some of these that I'm being drawn to right now. I'm definitely going to do the best we can do. That wipes out 4 prompts. I've already read I'll Be Gone in the Dark, so that gets me up to 5 right there. So I can get the best we can do on Hoopla, and it's a graphic novel, so it'll be a pretty quick read. That's definitely happening. The Partly Cloudy Patriot I've already started, so I'll continue working on. The Dry by Jane Harper is, like I said, one I've been feeling really drawn to lately, so that I'm going to try to get to for the readathon. The Sun and Her Flowers, I think I'm going to try to get to for the readathon, because I can get that on Scribed, and as a poetry collection, it should be, again, a pretty quick read. And Mrs. Dalloway, I'm going to do the read along. So I'm going to get some knocked out, definitely. The other ones I might try to get to. I might try to get back to The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating. I may try to get to We Have Always Lived in the Castle. But I also have some other stuff that I have in process, and other things I kind of want to get to. I may do a June TBR, a June MBR video too. I'm not positive on that yet. And I might get to Boy Snowbird, because I keep wanting to pick this up, but I want to I started The White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi, so I want to get through that first. So that is my plans for the Reading Woman Challenge and the June Readathon that Kendra is hosting for the challenge. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and what you thought, or if you have any other suggestions of books that could fit the challenges that maybe I didn't think of or come across. Or even if you let me know if you're doing the challenge, or if you're doing the readathon. You don't have to be doing the challenge to do the readathon. You could just decide to spend June reading some books by or about women, and just pick a couple of the prompts from the challenge and participate in the readathon. You don't have to be doing the challenge to do the readathon. So So yeah, let me know. Let me know what, even if you're not going to do it, let me know what you might pick. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. So please, let's talk. Let's talk books. Anyway, thank you to all my subscribers. If you're new to my channel, this is your first video, welcome. I'm happy to have you. I hope you stick around. And if you want to see more from me, be sure to hit the subscribe button, because that's the best way to know when I post new videos. Hit me up on social media. I have my Twitter and my Instagram and my Goodreads linked below. And let's interact. And I will see you all in my next video.